The storm outside battered the reinforced glass windows of Jay's Manhattan penthouse as he stood in his private office, nursing his fourth glass of aged bourbon. At 32 years old, he had constructed an empire that made powerful men whisper his name with fear, commanded nearly 60% of New York's underground weapons trade, and carried the weight of more deaths than his conscience would ever acknowledge. Yet this particular evening, something gnawed at his thoughts, an unfamiliar restlessness that whiskey couldn't drown. "Boss, the new housekeeper just got here." Minho, his most trusted lieutenant, spoke from the entrance. Jay kept his eyes fixed on the city lights below. "I instructed you to manage the domestic staff without involving me. Why interrupt me with something this trivial? I figured you needed to be aware. She's not our typical hire." "Not typical in what way?" Jay's tone carried unmistakable impatience. Minho shifted his weight slightly. "She's from Chicago, African-American, 27 years old. Her name is Zara. The placement agency sent her with exceptional references, professional, discreet, and desperate enough for employment that she won't question anything unusual she might witness here." Jay swirled the dark liquid thoughtfully. In his dangerous world, discretion held more value than diamonds. "Acceptable. Have her begin tomorrow at dawn. Ensure she comprehends the expectations. Clean efficiently. Maintain silence, observe nothing, report nothing." "Actually, boss, she's already working. Mrs. Park needed her to handle the West Wing tonight because we're hosting the Bratva representatives at noon tomorrow." Jay gestured dismissively with his free hand. "Then allow her to continue. I have no interest in meeting every person who maintains my residence." But destiny had different intentions. 25 minutes later, Jay departed his office to retrieve documents from his master suite. The corridor remained dimly illuminated, and he moved with practiced silence, a survival instinct developed through years of staying alive in his profession. As he neared his bedroom entrance, he detected soft humming emanating from within. His hand moved instinctively toward the weapon concealed at his lower back. Nobody should be accessing his personal domain. He eased the door open cautiously, prepared for potential danger, but the sight before him stopped him completely frozen. A woman stood balanced on a short stepladder, stretching upward to clean the highest shelf of his bookcase. She wore the standard household uniform, a simple black dress with a crisp white apron, but on her frame it appeared anything but ordinary. The fabric hugged dangerous curves that seemed to defy reality, her deep ebony skin glowing luminously beneath the warm lamplight. Her natural curls were secured into a professional bun, exposing the graceful line of her neck. She reached higher, and the dress shifted upward slightly, revealing powerful thighs that made Jay's throat constrict. Her body possessed an unconscious elegance, moving rhythmically to whatever melody played in her mind. Jay found himself unable to move, unable to draw breath, unable to form coherent thoughts. In 32 years of existence, surrounded by Manhattan's most stunning women, supermodels, Broadway actresses, socialites who pursued him relentlessly, he had never experienced this immediate all-consuming desire that flooded his system like liquid fire. She turned partially, and he glimpsed her features more clearly. Generous lips, sculpted cheekbones, and skin so flawlessly smooth it resembled dark silk. When she descended to reposition the ladder, her uniform tightened across her backside, and Jay felt something fundamental shift inside his chest. "Explain what you're doing in my bedroom." His voice emerged harsher than he planned. Zara jumped violently, nearly losing her balance on the ladder. She spun around, her eyes enormous with surprise and alarm. "Oh God, I apologize profusely, sir. Mrs. Park instructed me to clean every bedroom on this level. I had no idea. I wasn't informed this was your private room. I'll leave immediately." She scrambled down the ladder frantically, her hands trembling as she collected her cleaning materials. Jay observed her every gesture like a hunter studying prey. At this proximity, she was even more breathtaking. Her eyes were large and deeply expressive, currently radiating fear and mortification. She maintained her gaze lowered respectfully, which only intensified his urge to lift her chin and compel her to face him directly. "State your name," he demanded, despite already possessing that information. "Zara, sir. Zara Williams. I'm the new housekeeper. I started this evening. I'm truly sorry for this intrusion. It absolutely won't happen again. Her accent was distinctly American, with a nervous tremor threading through it. She continued backing toward the doorway, gripping her cleaning caddy like protective armor. "Stop moving," Jay commanded, and she froze immediately. He approached her slowly, each step measured and deliberate. "How old are you, Zara?" 27, sir." "And you're not frightened, working in a residence like this one?" Her eyes flickered upward to meet his for merely a second before dropping again. "I need this position desperately, sir. I was informed that discretion is essential to this job. Whatever business occurs here is none of my concern." Intelligent and gorgeous, a lethal combination. Jay stopped just 12 inches from her. He could detect her fragrance now, something warm and sweet like caramel and jasmine. His fingers ached to touch her, to trace the elegant curve of her collarbone, to discover if her skin felt as velvety as it appeared. "Look directly at me," he said quietly but firmly. Zara raised her eyes gradually, and when their gazes connected, Jay felt electricity surge through his entire nervous system. Her eyes were remarkably expressive. He could identify the fear present there, absolutely, but also something else entirely: recognition. She sensed it too, this magnetic force pulling them together. "Do you understand who I am?" he asked. "You're Jay, sir, the owner of this penthouse. I'm far more than that." He leaned in slightly, observing her pupils dilate. "I'm the man who controls this entire city's underworld. I'm the man people avoid making eye contact with. I'm the man who claims what he desires when he desires it." Zara's breathing accelerated, her chest rising and falling rapidly. "I understand, sir." "Do you truly?" Jay's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "Because right now, Zara, I want you more than I've wanted anything in my life." Her eyes widened with pure shock. "Sir, I can't possibly." "I will make you mine tonight," Jay declared, his voice saturated with dark promise. "I saw your body and I can't focus on anything else. Every curve, every inch of that dark skin, it's consuming my thoughts completely." Zara's cleaning caddy slipped from her trembling hands, supplies scattering across his bedroom floor. "Mr. Jay, I can't do this. This isn't appropriate. I just began working here today. That changes absolutely nothing." He extended his hand, his fingers barely making contact with her arm, and even that feather-light touch sent shock waves rippling through both of them. "I've never craved anything as intensely as I crave you in this moment. But this is completely wrong," she whispered, though her body swayed toward him involuntarily. "I'm your employee. You're my employer. This is inappropriate on every level. The rules don't apply to me, Zara. I create the rules in this city." Before she could formulate a response, his phone vibrated insistently in his pocket. Jay cursed under his breath, extracting it with visible frustration. The message was from Minho. Critical. "The transaction failed catastrophically. Chen's entire crew is dead. We're facing a war." Jay's expression transformed instantly into cold steel. He glanced back at Zara, whose face displayed equal parts relief and disappointment. "Leave now," he instructed her, his voice suddenly ice-cold, the dangerous crime lord returning completely. "Go back to your quarters immediately, but Zara—" He caught her wrist firmly as she moved to pass him. "This discussion isn't finished. Tonight, one way or another, you will be in my bed." Zara's heart hammered violently as she practically fled down the corridor, her legs shaking so severely she could barely maintain her balance. She burst into the small staff quarters on the 4th floor, slamming the door and pressing her spine against it. "What the hell just happened to me?" she whispered into the empty room, her hands trembling as she touched her arm where Jay's fingers had made contact. The spot still burned, as though he'd permanently marked her with that single touch. She had accepted this position for one specific reason only, to infiltrate Jay's inner circle, but not like this. Never anything remotely like this. Zara walked unsteadily to the small mirror mounted on the wall and examined her reflection carefully. Her cheeks were deeply flushed, her eyes too bright and wide, her lips slightly parted. She looked like a woman who'd been thoroughly seduced, and he'd barely even touched her skin. "Pull yourself together, Zara," she muttered firmly, splashing cold water on her face from the compact sink. "You came here for Devon. Remember Devon?" Her younger brother's face materialized in her mind. 24 years old, reckless, and currently being held captive by Jay's rival organization as leverage for a debt he couldn't possibly repay. The Vipers had delivered an ultimatum: infiltrate Jay's household, steal the critical information they needed about his arms shipment routes, or Devon would be executed. They had orchestrated everything meticulously: the fabricated references, the agency placement, even Mrs. Park's convenient need for a new housekeeper. But they hadn't prepared her for Jay himself. She had studied his photographs extensively, understood he was handsome in that cold, menacing way powerful criminals possess, but photographs hadn't captured the raw magnetic energy, the way his dark, penetrating eyes seemed to pierce directly through her defenses, the commanding aura that made her simultaneously want to escape and surrender completely. And God help her soul, when he had spoken those words, "I will make you mine tonight," her body had responded in ways that absolutely terrified her. Heat had pooled dangerously low in her belly. Her skin had tingled with anticipation, and for one insane moment she had nearly whispered, "Yes." Before we continue with what happens next, I need to ask you something important. We're working hard to bring you these intense, dramatic stories, but we need to reach 1,000 subscribers to keep this content coming. If you're enjoying Zara and Jay's dangerous connection, please hit that subscribe button right now. And here's my question for you. If you were in Zara's position, trapped between saving your family and falling for the enemy, what would you do? Type family if you'd prioritize saving your brother, or type heart if you'd follow your feelings for Jay. I'm genuinely curious what you'd choose. Now, back to the story. A sharp knock on her door made her jump violently. "Miss Williams," it was Mrs. Park, the head housekeeper, her voice stern. "Mr. Jay requests your immediate presence in his study. Right now." Zara's blood turned ice cold. "Now?" "But I assumed." "Now," Mrs. Park repeated with finality. "Don't keep him waiting even a second." Zara's mind raced frantically as she navigated through the luxurious hallways toward Jay's study. Had he somehow discovered her real purpose? Was this an elaborate trap? She touched the small burner phone concealed in her bra, her only communication line to the Vipers, and whispered a desperate prayer. The study doors stood open. Jay stood beside the floor-to-ceiling windows, his back toward her, phone pressed against his ear. He was speaking rapid, angry Korean, his voice razor-sharp with authority and barely restrained fury. Even consumed by rage, he was magnificent, tall, powerfully built, radiating dangerous power. He terminated the call abruptly and rotated to face her. His expression was completely unreadable. "Close the door behind you," he commanded. Zara's hands trembled as she complied. "Sir, if this concerns what happened earlier, remove your apron." "Excuse me?" "Your apron. Take it off immediately." Zara's fingers fumbled clumsily with the ties, her mind spinning with confusion and mounting fear. Was he really going to pursue this right now with everything happening? She allowed the apron to fall to the hardwood floor. Jay walked toward her with predatory slowness, like a leopard approaching cornered prey. "Do you understand why I summoned you here, Zara?" "No, sir, I don't. I have a significant problem." He stopped mere inches from her, so close she could smell his expensive cologne mingled with bourbon. "Someone is actively trying to annihilate everything I've constructed. Someone dispatched assassins to eliminate my suppliers tonight. 7 loyal men are dead because of a traitor embedded in my organization." Zara's heart stopped beating entirely. Did he know the truth? "And when I have a problem," Jay continued, reaching out to trace one finger deliberately along her jawline, "I eliminate it completely, without mercy, without hesitation. Do you comprehend what I'm telling you?" "Yes, sir," she whispered, desperately trying not to reveal her absolute terror. "But tonight, I have an entirely different problem." His hand moved to encircle her neck, his thumb pressing gently against her racing pulse. "You're consuming every thought when I should be strategizing war. You're a distraction I absolutely cannot afford right now. Then release me." Zara said breathlessly, "Fire me from this position. I'll leave immediately and never return." "No." His grip on her neck tightened slightly, not causing pain, but undeniably possessive. "You clearly don't understand how I operate. I never release things that belong to me, and you, Zara, have belonged to me from the moment you entered my home. He pulled her closer, forcefully, his other hand sliding down her spine, pressing her body flush against his. Zara gasped at the full contact, feeling every hard plane of his muscular body against her curves. I can feel your pulse racing, Kim murmured directly against her ear. You're terrified of me, and you should be. But you're also attracted to me intensely. Don't even try to deny it. This is complete insanity. Zara protested weakly, even as her hands came up to rest against his solid chest. She could feel his heart pounding as rapidly as hers. You don't know anything about me. I know enough. His lips brushed against the sensitive skin of her neck, and Zara couldn't suppress the small involuntary moan that escaped. I know your skin tastes incredible. I know you tremble when I touch you. I know you want this as desperately as I do. Please, Zara whispered. Though she wasn't certain if she was begging him to stop or continue, Jay pulled back to look directly at her, his dark eyes blazing with raw hunger. I'm going to offer you a choice, Zara. You can walk through that door right now, collect your belongings, and leave my penthouse forever. Or you can stay and accept what's inevitable between us. What exactly is inevitable? I'm going to claim you as mine in every conceivable way. Your body, your time, your thoughts, everything will belong exclusively to me. And in return, I'll provide you with everything imaginable. Protection, pleasure beyond your wildest fantasies, wealth you can't even comprehend. But understand this clearly. There's no middle ground here. You're either completely mine or you're absolutely nothing to me. Choose now. Zara's logical mind screamed at her to run, to escape while she still possessed the chance. But Devon's terrified face flashed in her mind again. She needed to remain close to Jay, needed to obtain that shipment information, and if this was the price she had to pay. I'll stay, she heard herself say. Jay's eyes darkened with triumph and consuming desire. Say it correctly and completely. I'll stay with you. No. He gripped her chin firmly, forcing her to maintain his intense gaze. Say the exact words. I'm yours. Zara's throat went completely dry. Those words felt like signing an unbreakable contract, like she was surrendering her very soul. But what real choice did she have? I'm yours, she whispered. Jay's control shattered completely. He kissed her with a hunger that stole every breath from her lungs, his hands roaming over her body with raw possession. Zara kissed him back helplessly, her body betraying every logical thought in her head. He tasted like expensive bourbon and danger, and something uniquely him that made her dizzy with desire. He lifted her effortlessly, positioning her on the edge of his mahogany desk, stepping between her thighs. His hands slid up her legs deliberately, pushing her dress higher, and Zara knew she was seconds away from crossing a point of absolute no return. Suddenly, the study doors burst open violently. Boss, we have a critical situation. Min-ho rushed in frantically, then froze completely at the scene before him. His eyes widened with shock. Jay didn't move away from Zara, didn't display embarrassment. He simply turned his head, his hand still possessively gripping her thigh. This better be life or death, Min-ho. The Vipers just sent a direct message. Min-ho's voice was tight with tension. They have someone inside this penthouse, a spy. They're demanding we surrender the weapons shipment routes by midnight, or they'll activate their mole and destroy us from the inside out. Jay's entire body went absolutely rigid. His hand on Zara's thigh tightened almost painfully. A mole in my house? Yes, sir. They specifically said she arrived today. The world seemed to stop spinning entirely. Jay's head turned slowly toward Zara, his eyes now cold as Arctic ice. She watched the realization dawn on his face, watched the desire in his eyes transform into deadly, calculated fury. She, Jay repeated softly, dangerously. Zara's phone, still hidden in her bra, buzzed with an incoming message. In the deafening silence of the room, the vibrations sounded like a gunshot. Jay's hand moved with lightning speed, reaching into her dress and extracting the phone. He looked at the screen, his jaw clenching as he read the message from the Vipers. Did you get the shipment routes yet? Devon doesn't have much time remaining. When Jay looked back at Zara, there was nothing human remaining in his eyes, only cold, calculated murder. Well, he said quietly, his hand moving to the weapon at his waist. This is profoundly disappointing. Thank you so much for watching this intense story unfold. If Zara and Jay's dangerous connection pulled you in, I'd be incredibly grateful if you'd subscribe to our channel. We pour our hearts into creating these emotional roller coasters for you, and your support means the world to us. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever been caught between loyalty and desire? Have you ever had to make an impossible choice? Tell us your story. We read every single comment, and your experiences inspire our future content. And if this story resonated with you, share it with someone who loves intense romantic thrillers. What did you learn about love, loyalty, and impossible choices from Zara's dilemma? Let's discuss it together as a community. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next chapter.